What's up, you guys? Happy Friday. Just walked through the rain. I'm sitting in the car with Sky Pie. Say hi. Hi. And the 12 million Barbies that are always in my car. So we're waiting on Carson to get done for gymnastics. So I had an amazing phone call today with one of my one-to-one clients, and I wanted to chat with you guys about it because it was something that hasn't come up much, and I think it's actually huge. So Sky Pie, shh. So the topic of discussion ended up being disappointment, right? So we were talking about she was avoiding a conversation that she was wanting to have. And so we were like, okay, what's the fear, right? And she's really good at all the stuff and really going through it. So give me a hello when you guys jump on. And I said, so what's the fear in the conversation? And it came down to she was afraid of being disappointed by how the conversation went, or by that the person wouldn't really acknowledge her and respond that way. And I said, okay, well, the way you're feeling right now is you're already disappointed, right? Like you're already disappointed in what's going on with the two of you. And if you have this conversation, you're going to confirm that you're disappointed. So we kind of dove deeper into it. And I said, you know, is this a projection? And she was talking about that at work. She felt like she wanted someone to give her like kudos for this project that she did. And I said, well, did you stop and give that to yourself? And she said, no. And I was like, okay, so Sky, stop, honey. And I said, well, that's part of it, right? So guys, I want you to know about this. Like anytime, hi, Steph. Anytime you're needing or wanting something from someone else, it's because you're not giving it to yourself. So if you ever feel like, hey, Lisa, if you ever feel like, wow, I need A, B, or C, you're like, ooh, am I giving that to myself? So many of us high-achieving perfectionists, which I know a lot of you guys are, we never stop to say, like, I'm proud of myself. I did a video on this a couple weeks ago, but, like, we never stop to give that back to ourselves, and then we can't really receive it, right? So maybe she did actually get kudos, but because she's in such a place of perfectionism and like, wanting to always be better, she didn't really receive it. So that was one of the parts. Hold on. Skylar, stop. You guys want to see what's happening? It's crazy, Chelsea. But anyway, so we got deeper into this, and I was like, okay, where else in your life are you possibly feeling disappointment, right? Like, are you really not actually that disappointed in the relationship and the conversation you want to have, but is it somewhere else? Like, are you feeling that other places? And she goes, well, yeah. And I said, okay, where? And she goes, well, you and I'm working with her on nutrition. And she goes, well, you and I know I disappoint myself every day when it comes to food. And, like, I know what her nutrition looks like right now. And I was like, how? Do you really? How? And she sat there for a second, and she thought about it, and she's like, I don't know. And I was like, you don't. But that was her story, right? Her story was that she disappointed herself every day. And her story was that she was going to be disappointed. And what we came to discover was that her fear of disappointment was stopping her from doing things that she might be disappointed in. But she was disappointed that she wasn't doing them, right? So you follow that track? Like, she's not taking certain actions because she's afraid of being disappointed, but she's already disappointed in the fact that she's not doing it. So, like, she's literally keeping herself in the feeling that she's trying to avoid. So it was kind of this, like, so many, like, an hour of aha moments. But that's something that I think is really important is, like, what's your relationship with disappointment, right? And where did that come from? Sky, stop, honey. And, like, what's it doing to you, right? Like, are you not doing things because you don't want to be disappointed? Like, are you afraid of, like, I've heard this all the time from people, like, they don't want to really commit to something because they're afraid they'll disappoint themselves, right? And so, remember, kids, like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And, like, being disappointed, I feel like, is a much more, like, deeper, scary feeling, right? And it's like, okay, well, if you're disappointed in yourself for thinking you might fail, and then you just don't take action, you're still living in that energy of disappointment, right? And when you think about that, that's kind of crazy. So she and I dug a little bit deeper, because you guys, this stuff's always rooted somewhere. And I said, well, I wonder where that came from. And she, like, exactly, she's like, oh, I know. And she's like, I can tell you the event when I was 17, exactly what happened, that I felt like I disappointed my dad, and, like, I can tell you exactly where that came from. And I was like, okay, so that feeling, that event, you have now carried on for 30 years, and it, like, shadows everything in your life, right? And so for her, like, it shadowed literally everything in her life of, like, I'm a disappointment, I did something that disappointed people, and so now that's my norm, right? And so we just uncovered so many things, and so I really want you guys to think about what are those underlying things, right? So we talked about protectors, and Brianna and I made this joke the other day that like you've got to get in touch with your protectors. So protectors are something that comes up to like keep you safe. And we talked about this a little bit, but so her protector is like not taking action and having certain things because she's afraid of disappointment. Okay, so what a protector is like a protector walks in and goes, hey, this might not go bad. I want to keep you safe. I want you not to get hurt. I want to whatever. So I'm going to step in and stop you from doing things, right? And for most of us, you guys, we don't even know our protectors exist. And she and I were working on protectors a couple weeks ago, and we hadn't come up with a lot. And then we realized this is like her major protector of everything. And so we were talking about it. I was like, okay, you need to give your protector a name. Because the thing about it is we're like, oh, I don't like that part of myself, so I'm going to try to get rid of it, right? I don't like the feeling of being disappointed. I'm going to try to get rid of it. That doesn't work, right? So what you have to do is you have to create a relationship with your protector, okay? So it sounds kind of funny, but when you think about it this way, it's kind of funny. If you're like, okay, I'm going to give my protector a name. So Brandon and I jokingly, I was explaining this to him the other day, and we're like, we're going to call it George. So say something happens, and George is like, nah, don't do that. Don't you have that conversation. Don't you join this program. Don't you do whatever, because you might not be safe. You might get hurt. You might be disappointed. Okay. So we're like, okay, the protector is disappointment, right? Trying not to be disappointed. So we decided to name the protector George. Okay. So what you have to do in this scenario is it's not going to go away. It's not a bad part of you. Like, it was there to keep you safe and to make you feel loved and protected as a kid. So you're like, hey, George. So you're going to name it. Protector shows up. You feel it limiting you from doing something for fear of whatever, disappointment, failure, whatever that is. And you're like, hey, George, what's up? Like, give it a name. Get really comfortable with it. Like, hey, George, what's up? Don't stand behind me. Like, come on up here. Let's have a conversation. Totally appreciate you being here. I know that you're trying to keep me safe, but you know what? I'm good. Like, I got this. I'm going to go ahead and go into this scenario, and I can handle whatever happens, right? And so when you think about it like that, like so many things that we teach are third person, right? Like, remove yourself from the bottle. So if your protector is George and George is walking beside you, then you can have a conversation with him, right? You can get really intimate, and you can be like, hey, it's cool. I appreciate it. What is going off the light? Like, I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you trying to help me, but I'm okay. I got this. I'm safe. And we can do this, right? And so really think about what's your relationship to disappointment, right? Like, I think that's an emotion that very many of us don't think about because it doesn't feel good, right? Like, it doesn't feel good to be disappointed. But the thing about disappointment is you get to shift that, right? As soon as you start taking action and you're aware of it, you get to shift. Sorry, it's like healing out now, you guys. So you get to shift that, right? Like, you get to shift into, I get to do things, and whatever the outcome, that's what it was meant to be because it was teaching me something. And then you get to be like, I'm not disappointed in myself for not taking action. I'm not disappointed in myself for not doing whatever. What, Sky? Hold on, honey. So I really want you guys to think about, like, where is disappointment holding you back in your life? What are your stories around disappointment, or any of those lower vibe emotions? Like, where did your story come from? Is it real? Is it serving you? And is it yours, right? Those are my favorite questions, because what we realized today was that, like, it's not her story, it's not serving her, and it's not true, right? Like, she's not disappointing herself in all these places, but she's lived into that, she's looking at the world through that lens. So anyway, I just really wanted to chat with you guys about disappointment. So so Flow launch. So I pushed it back. So some of you on here are signed up, so I'll email you guys, but I decided to push it back to July 5th. So a couple things. There were some people that really wanted to do it. What is up with this light? But the 4th of July holiday was going to mess everything up because 4th of July is on a Wednesday. Calls are going to be on a Wednesday, and I really didn't want half of the people to miss the call on the 4th because that's really part of it, is being involved. So I'm going to push it to the 5th. So the way it's going to work is that modules, so I'll have a video, I'll have a module for you guys, will release on the portal on the 5th. So on Thursdays, and then we're going to do our calls on Tuesdays. Actually, I moved the call to Tuesdays because that gives you guys the right amount of time. So calls will be on Tuesday. Stuff will drop on Thursdays, but we're going to start on the 5th. So I know I've been getting a lot of questions. A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't see it. What is it? So I'll drop the link in here so you can go see exactly what it is, what's involved, what you get. It's going to be an amazing 6 weeks that will cause massive transformation. And if you think about the conversation I just had with my client today, it had nothing to do with food, right? Because it's never about the food. So we should know that, right? It's not about the food. I want you to nourish yourself, but I want you guys to get into the deeper roots of what's actually going on and understand that a lot of the things you're doing that you think are related to food or your body have nothing to do with food in your body. So I'll drop that link. If you guys have questions, let me know. If you feel like you have friends that this would benefit them, Please share it, like it, comment, and ask me any questions. Hope you guys are having an awesome Friday. We're never going to get summer in Colorado. I was like, let's go to the mountains tomorrow, and then it's supposed to rain. So anyway, hopefully your summer's sunny or enjoying the rain, because without the rain, we would have no beautiful vegetation. So happy Friday, guys. I'll chat with you guys soon.